Good morning, friends. Today in this lecture session, let's see the drugs acting on autonomic nervous system. Here, we'll discuss in detail about the cholinergic drugs. So, in the last class, we have seen the classification of drugs on cholinergic receptors. There you can have cholinomimetics, or which are agonists at the muscarinic receptors. You can have direct agonists like carbachol, bethanachol, or which are like acetylcholine, and indirect agonists which increase concentration of acetylcholine at the receptor site, where you can have reversible acetylcholine as esterase enzyme inhibitors or irreversible enzyme inhibitors. And along with them, we also have anticholinergic drugs, means which will reduce the cholinergic activity. Where in muscarinic receptor, means muscarinic blockers, we have natural products like atropine and synthetic products like propanthelin, etc. And we also have nicotinic blockers, where depolarizing blockers and non-depolarizing blockers both are there. So this is what we have seen, and in this lecture session we will see direct agonists. So before entering into our actual discussion, let's have a question here. Acetylcholine as a drug, can we use it like that? Is there any problem? So if you look at the acetylcholine and its structure, it's a very simple molecule, very small molecule, very simple structure, a simple ester of a choline. Here acetylcholine doesn't have selectivity on receptors. Let's say if somebody has a problem with a smooth muscle receptor, smooth muscle in stomach, so all we need is modulation of the muscarinic activity. But when you give acetylcholine, it will activate both as a muscarinic as well as nicotinic receptors. Means throughout the body all tissues will get activated. No, we need selectivity on receptors. Second one is, it is chemically not stable in aqueous solutions. If you closely look at the structure, it has an ester bond over here, which is amenable to hydrolysis in normal conditions, and it will enhance the hydrolysis, means rate of hydrolysis will increase in the presence of slight acids. So that's why its half-life is really small. Further, it can be easily hydrolyzed. The next one is very quick clearance from blood, because throughout the blood you can find ample quantity of acetylcholine esterases or butyrylcholine esterases. So that's the reason why hydrolysis happens at lightning speed, and its half-life is really small, and it is highly polar, so absorption is very poor, means transfer across the membrane is really poor. On the other day, we have seen how actually acetylcholine is reuptaken. So there it is not the acetylcholine, but choline is taken inside the cell via a transporter mechanism. So here, because it is chemically not stable in aqueous solution, and it is highly polar, so oral bioavailability is 0. So these are the reasons why we needed more stable and selective activators or blockers for acetylcholine. So acetylcholine analogs, because if you look at the structure, it's very simple, and acetylcholine as a lead, structure optimization and SAR studies were conducted. So acetylcholine, if you closely observe, we can find three major units. One is ester unit, where acetyl group is there, acetoxyl group. We have an ethylene bridge, and here we have a quaternary ammonium salt. The nitrogen is connected to 3 methyl groups. So this is a very simple molecule. So scientists have synthesized several different types of analogs of acetylcholine, and the results we will discuss now. Regarding quaternary ammonium area functional group, so when all the 3 methyl groups on quaternary ammonium, when they were replaced by 3 ethyl groups, they got antagonist. It is completely cholinergic antagonism. And when you increase further the size of the molecule, means if it is up to ethyl, it is giving us an antagonist, and if it grows further, it will become inactive, completely inactive. And when you replace one of the methyl with a higher analog, like methyl is replaced by ethyl or propyl, the activity reduces. Okay. And then when you remove methyl groups sequentially, means from here we have a quaternary ammonium, now we removed one methyl, and then when we removed one methyl and replaced it with hydrogen, here we removed two methyls. So when you keep on removing methyl groups and replace them by hydrogen, you are going to have reduced biological activity. So this is the way how changes in the quaternary ammonium nitrogen and its substituents significantly reduces the biological activity, agonistic activity. And now here replacement of nitrogen, because we needed a quaternary ammonium over there, means it is not, is it really ammonium or a positive charge? So that was studied. Other polyvalent atoms like arsenic, phosphorus, sulfur and selenium were tried. So whenever we were able to generate a onium salt over there, biological activity remained, but not as potent as ammonium salt. So here phosphonium salt, selenonium salt, so they are able to produce muscarinic activity, but nitrogen was optimal. So to summarize, positive charge on the terminal is essential. Second one is nitrogen as a quaternary salt is optimal. Next, methyl as a substitution group on nitrogen is optimal. So these are the two observations that were derived from these studies. Okay, the next observation is acetylcholine. In the year 1949, Professor H.R. Ying has published a comprehensive paper on SAR studies on choline group, where he observed that there should be not more than 5 atoms between nitrogen and terminal hydrogen of acetylcholine for muscarinic activity. Means this one, this nitrogen, and this is the terminal hydrogen, and between these two we need to have only 5 atoms. So these 5 atoms, and he also observed that the acetylcholine receptor pocket is really small and highly restrained. So that's why he thought, like he concluded, like this kind of observations are coming. So here we can change the chain length, etc. Whatever we do to this one, or even if we increase the substitution over here from acetyl to ethyl, propanoyl to butanoyl, so it could be one reason why the activity is getting reduced. So all those observations made him conclude or propose this rule of 5, so which was found to be very successful. Next one is substitutions on the ethylene bridge. So replacement of hydrogen on the ethylene bridge with alkyl groups bigger than methyl resulted in inactive compound. So on this carbon which is alpha to nitrogen, or this carbon which is beta to nitrogen, on either of these two we can replace the hydrogen, one of the hydrogen, with a methyl group with retainment of muscarinic activity. but if you go beyond that, it is going to give you loss in activity. So here the beta methyl acetyl beta methyl choline, or we call it as methacholine, where the methyl group is on the beta carbon, was found to be as potent as acetylcholine, and the introduction of methyl group on the beta carbon gives us a chiral center over here, So here what they found is S plus methacholine is 20 times more potent than R minus methacholine. Scientists also found that S plus methacholine is more selective towards muscarinic receptors. One interesting observation here is R minus methacholine is more stable against acetylcholine esterase enzyme. So it has some capability to act as acetylcholine esterase enzyme inhibitors. So that's why in the commercial formulations we usually find a mixture of S plus methacholine and R minus methacholine. So they help each other. A methacholine is potent muscarinic agonist, and R minus methacholine helps us as a acetylcholine esterase enzyme inhibitor. The next one is in the acetoxyl group. So this acetoxyl group, when it is replaced with the propanol group or otherwise butanol group, the activity decreases. So that is what we observed even in Young's rule of 5. Replacement of acetoxyl with aromatic or higher acids, because if it is an aliphatic, it slowly reduces up to butanol. But when you replace the acetoxyl with an aromatic group like benzoic acid or something like that, it will give you antagonistic activity. Acetylcholine as a lead structure, one more observation is the replacement of oxygen or ester group. So here ester group is highly reactive or otherwise highly susceptible to hydrolytic reactions, because we all knew that acetoxyl, this carbonyl group, is highly polarized. Because of electronegativity of oxygen, there will be polarization of the pi bond over here. So delta minus on this, delta plus on this side. So this is actually the initiator for further chemical reactions, including hydrolytic reactions. So to prevent that, what scientists did is they replaced the methyl group with ammonia, amino group. So thereby we are getting here a carbamic acid ester. In case of nitrogen, we all knew that nitrogen carries a lone pair of electrons which can be donated. So here this positive inductive effect, so the support of the donation, electron donating capability of nitrogen will reduce the polarity of this bond, means the delta plus over here will be partially neutralized. So thereby it increases the stability of the ester group. So in this way carbamic acid esters were synthesized, and successfully scientists were able to obtain carbachol and bethanachol, which are structural analogues, carbamic acid analogues of acetylcholine and methacholine. These two are now in use in the clinics. The next one is replacement of oxygen. So when scientists did biostatic replacement of oxygen with methylene CH2, they got muscarinic receptor agonistic activity. And even when they removed ketone group and replaced with a simple ether group over here, instead of an ester we have here an ether. Here also scientists found that muscarinic agonism, muscarinic receptor agonism retained. But these two doesn't have any kind of selectivity, or that much potency was not there. That's why we do not have these two kind of molecules in the clinical usage. But this is a very good observation that biostatic replacement helps us improve at least chemical stability over here. Now let's see in detail about each one of the drugs that we have in the clinical usage. One of them is methacholine. So in case of methacholine, we have both S methacholine and R methacholine is there. Muscarinic receptor selective agonist, and S isomer is 240 times more potent than R. R isomer inhibits acetylcholine esterase enzyme. So usually in the market we use it as a diagnostic agent for asthma. It induces bronchospasm, reversible bronchospasm. And the next one is carbachol. So carbachol is a carbamic acid analog of acetylcholine, carbamate analog of acetylcholine. It is chemically stable in aqueous solutions, so orally the drug is active, orally bioavailable, and it is used for treatment of glaucoma, and it is also used for inducing miosis during eye surgery, and this is one of the formulations that is available in the market. And next one is bethanacol. So carbamate analog of methacholine and highly selective for muscarinic receptors. It is orally bioavailable and it is used in the management of post-surgical or postpartum abdominal distension and urinary retention, because during surgeries doctors will give to avoid gastric motility and also for preventing urination, they'll give drugs for smooth muscle relaxants or skeletal muscle relaxants. It's very common. So after post surgery, the tonicity of the smooth muscles is to be regained. Hence they'll give this bethanacol. Next one is pilocarpine is a natural product. It is obtained from Pilocarpus jaborandi plant, and it is one of the oldest chemicals that are available to scientists to probe biological systems. In fact, Professor Langley, while studying the neurochemical transmission, he used muscarine as well as pilocarpine for his studies, and he found that pilocarpine is a very powerful muscarinic agonist. And here pilocarpine defies all SAR rules that we have seen so far. But if you observe closely, this is an imidazole ring, and in one of the resonance structure of an imidazole ring, you will find onium ion being formed like this. This is one of the possibility. Second one is in the biological pH, in the body pH, the nitrogen can get quaternized. Onium ion formation can be there, but this is actually one of the dominating proposal to provide presence of onium ion in pilocarpine, and this is a powerful muscarinic agonist, and more pronounced activity was observed at M3 receptor. It is a meiotic of choice for open angle glaucoma and acute angle closure attacks, and this is the formulation, one of the formulations that is available in the market. So dear friends, to summarize whatever we have seen so far, acetylcholine cannot be used as a drug because it has no selectivity and it is chemically not stable. So that's why structure activity relationship studies were done, and then what they observed is positive charge is essential, nitrogen is optimal as onium ion, other polyvalent atoms which can form onium ions can also show agonism, methyl as a substitution group on onium ion is optimal, and bigger the size, antagonism or the compound will become inactive. Next, methyl at beta position gives a powerful muscarinic agonist, and oxygen can be replaced with bioisosterically replaced with carbon without losing activity, but you will not get more potency than acetylcholine. And ester carbonyl can be replaced with ketonic carbonyl. Ester carbonyl can be replaced with ketonic carbonyl, and replacement of NH3 with NH2 gives you carbamate analogs. Carbamate analogs have a very high stability, chemical stability, so their oral bioavailability is relatively high. So with this I conclude today's session. So we'll meet you again. I'll meet you again with another lecture on acetylcholine esterase enzyme inhibitors. Thank you.